continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Connolly as Norman Harrington, Patricia Morrow as Rita Harrington, James Douglas as Stephen Cord.
Last night, just a few hours before she was to become Mrs. Martin Peyton, Adrian Van Leyden was found dead in the Peyton house. Eddie Jacks, who was discovered bending over Adrian's body, was arrested and charged with suspicion of murder. It is the conclusion that Eddie Jacks had no reason to kill Adrian that has brought Martin Peyton to Eddie's cell.
Mr. Peyton.
I won't be long.
I knew you'd come. Make yourself comfortable. You had to call the police when you found me with Mrs. Van Leyden. I understand that. But you know that I didn't kill her, don't you?
Stephen Cord called me last night. Said you wanted to speak to me immediately. Well, I wasn't going to leap into the air at Stephen Cord's command.
Yeah, right. I just wanted you to know that she was dead when I first saw her.
Ah, you told me that already.
They haven't got a case against me. You know, it's circumstantial at the best, you know. I didn't have any motive, and I didn't touch her, but I shouldn't be wasting your time on things like that. An important man like you, right?
Is that all you have to say?
No. What I'm going to tell you could put me away for a long time. Can I trust you, Mr. Peyton?
Why have you brought me here? What do you want of me?
I want to make a deal with you.
A deal?
A deal.
Ha! I should never have come here.
Now,
a waste of time.
Listen to me. I wasn't going to hurt anybody. Not Mrs. Van Leyden. That's for sure. I was supposed to get you. But I wasn't going to do that either. You gotta believe me. I was supposed to. That was the deal. But I couldn't go through with it. That's a joker in the deck, isn't it? That I made a deal with somebody to kill you. But I can give you all the facts. The times we met and planned it. Everything.
Why didn't you tell this to your attorney, Stephen Cord? Or the police?
I want money for what I know. And you're the one guy who'll pay almost anything for what I know and what I can prove. That is right, isn't it, Mr. Peyton?
God.
Now, wait a minute. You didn't give me a chance to tell you who it is. Who made a deal with me? Who wants
God.
the dead so much? You can't pretend with me, Mr. Peyton. I know that you want that name more than anything.
God.
Come in, Mr. Peyton. It was Harrington. Les Harrington. We made a deal, and I can prove every bit of it. That's what I was going to tell you last night, only I never got a chance. I've got it in writing. A note I made him give me. He signed it.
I'm sorry you had to wait, Mr. Peyton.
I'd like just a minute more with Mr. Jacks. Forgive me for bothering you.
Why,
And thank you.
Yes, sir.
Harrington wanted you killed before you married Mrs. Van Leyden, before you changed your will. And I was supposed to do it with that wrench and make you think that your man, Lee Weber, did it. Doesn't that kind of curdle your stomach? It does mine, and it has from the time I told Harrington that I'd do it. tried it once. One day when Weber took you out on one of your regular drives. Remember? You were walking along the road and you almost got clipped by a motorcycle. Well, I was there, hiding in the bushes, with that big wrench in my hand, just waiting for you to take a few steps more. And then I was gonna brain you with it. It's true. At first, I thought I'd lucked out when Weber yelled at you and stopped you from coming toward me. But then I knew that wasn't it. I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have killed you. I couldn't kill anybody. And I wanted to tell you all about it last night. That's the only reason that I was in the house.
The proof, Jax. The written proof. Where is it?
It'll cost you the same as he was going to pay me to kill you.
Where is it?
50,000.
Answer me.
A promissory note. A dated promissory note. Harrington promises to pay me 50,000 for services to be rendered. And it's got his big fat signature on it, too.
Where is it, Jax?
Well, if I can get it, if I can get out of here. But one thing at a time. Do you want to buy it?
Huh. Harrington.
Well,
Leslie Harrington.
Mr. Peyton? You mean yes? 50,000 for Leslie Harrington, right?
Okay now, Mr. Peyton?
Yes, thank you.
No, it's all right. Come in.
Thank you.
You didn't have to come here, Mr. Carson. I would have dropped in at the Clarion.
Oh, no trouble at all. Matter of fact, it's a pleasure. I was downstairs at a business meeting of some sort, very, very dull. I got your message at the office.
Yes, well, I wanted to ask you about this. I'm worried about Rita now with her father arrested and all.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty rough on her. There's no question about that.
What happens now?
Oh, just routine.
I don't know the routine.
What do you know about the arraignment?
It's a word, Mr. Carson. Stevens mentioned it 1,000 times.
Well, it's just a simple disposition of the case. You know, Eddie has to face a judge, and the judge will decide whether or not there's sufficient reason to hold a preliminary hearing.
What about bail?
Well, I don't know. Eddie's got a record, you know, and they charge a suspicion of murder, so I kind of doubt it.
Well, then, Rita won't be able to see him.
Oh, sure, she can visit him in his cell. Oh, that's right. She's in the hospital, isn't she?
Mr. Carson, you and I know that Rita's father wouldn't kill anyone.
But the police can't let Eddie go simply because they heard he's a nice guy.
They can't put an innocent man in jail.
Really? They locked me up for 18 years.
Yes.
Betty, I know how you feel. Wanting to help and then just not being able to.
Is there anything you can do?
Aside from reporting the story, no.
What about an editorial?
You mean commenting on the arrest?
Yes.
Oh, that's impossible. I just end up making it rougher for Eddie. Anyway, I'm not so sure that Eddie's right. I wasn't there, and neither were you.
You mean you think he's guilty?
I didn't say that.
What do you mean?
Now, look, Betty, I know you're upset about Rita. And I know that Eddie's arrest is going to shake her up pretty badly. I'm sorry it happened, but it has happened. And there's absolutely nothing I can do with the paper that can spring Eddie. In the first place, I'd simply prejudice his case. In the second place...
And in the second place, you don't want to get involved. Strange for a man who was once in the same position himself.
Maybe Eddie was in the wrong place at the Wrong time. Let's hope so. Bye, Betty. I was shocked to hear what happened.
Lee, get rid of this tray.
Yes, sir.
Please accept my condolences.
Thank you, Leslie.
If I can take the burden of the arrangements off your hands, Martin.
No, Leslie, no. That's all my responsibility.
Of course.
Well, thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
I know you must be exhausted, but I must speak with you privately.
Privately? Why, if it hadn't been for that young man, I don't know what I would have done last night. Well, make it brief.
I heard Mrs. Van Lyten was found dead over there, and Eddie Jacks.
Leslie, I don't feel up to going into the details, please. The police exhausted me with their interrogations.
I can't get over it, Martin. What could Eddie Jacks achieve by killing Mrs. Van Lyten?
Mr. Payne said he doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Lee, Mr. Harrington is obviously very upset.
Just baffled?
As we all are. Tell me, do you know Eddie Jacks?
I've met him. He reminded me we were in-laws.
Of course. Then you know what an unsavory character he is.
Well, he's safely behind bars. You won't be bothered by him again.
Oh, I'm not so sure.
Oh?
My grandson has consented to defend Eddie Jacks. Oh, Stephen's a very clever man. Why, Eddie Jacks may be walking the streets free as a bird in no time.
What could have possessed Stephen to take his case?
Perhaps curiosity. But I don't pretend to understand anything about it. It was ridiculous of me to reach out for a little happiness at this late date. Quite ridiculous. I don't know why Eddie Jacks killed Mrs. Van Lyten. I don't know why my grandson Stephen consented to defend him. Frankly, Leslie, I'm much too weary to care.